welcome to another episode of Hair Biz Radio with your host Zakiyrah and
Mikey.
Yeah. And we are in 2024, but 2024 has already started. We're about 3 months in. Did you see the solar eclipse that happened?
No, I was trying to stay away. My eyes, I need those things.
Still, absolutely. I was in my house and everyone was talking about it, and then I couldn't understand why it started getting so dark. And I was like, dang, the sun is out, but it's dark in here. And then I remember I was like, oh, the solar eclipse happened.
Yeah, I saw it on the news. I figured that was safe. And I was like, okay, it's pretty cool. But of course, you had to be like in that line of where it was.
Yeah.
So like if you were doing that, there were certain like Delta flights that you could have been on. So that
really?
Yeah, that would have been kind of cool to see it that way.
Oh, wow.
You know, from 30,000 feet up.
In the air, yeah.
Yeah, that
would have
been
cool.
kind of neat.
I was wondering, like, do they revert the plans like when they're flying, or do they stop flying for that time?
They're rolling.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I bet you the pilots are wearing the special glasses.
Yeah. It's actually pretty cool to be up in the air when it was happening.
By the way, this episode has the new intro. It's got a little music to it, a little, you know, our episodes now come on Tuesdays.
What?
So we got a little new intro going. We got the workflow for the podcast.
Okay, intro.
More.
Yeah.
Special shout out to all the new podcast subscribers.
Not Mikey created an intro and I didn't know.
Well, I definitely didn't create it, but you know, that's I let the people that create stuff create it. I just talk a lot.
Dope. I love it. Okay. So new intro. Yeah. Shout out to the new intro. And we were talking about 2024, but we're diving into the 2024 trends, like what's happening, what's changing, what's new. I feel like there's been like this evolution of hair since I can remember, literally since hair started, like when our grandparents were doing certain styles, or the types of styles that they were doing and the products that they were utilizing is a lot different than what my grandmother used, what my mother used, what I used. And so it's interesting seeing like the evolution of even like TV hair and all the things that are happening. And even with private label, like starting with just hair extensions and then evolving into wigs and micro lengths and all of the things. So we're going to dive into discussing the evolution and trends, kind of where the hair industry is going product wise right now and what people are utilizing the most.
Let's just jump into it.
Let's do it.
Okay. So I'll start. 2024.
Mm-hmm.
People are using a lot less lace frontals.
Yes.
So they are back to doing sew-ins. Quick weaves are super hot this year.
Mm-hmm.
Quick weaves is like back since they were big. They were really big in like 2016, 17.
Yep.
And then it kind of died out. It was the lace front wigs and everything popular 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And then now we've kind of retracted back to the quick weave, the sew-in.
I got a sew-in maybe the end of June. I hadn't had a sew-in in maybe 4 years.
Really?
Maybe 4 to 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're back.
Yeah.
They're back. And people are getting away from the frontals. Now, here's what I have figured out, that people are moving away from the frontals because it's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
Right? Frontals technically were originally made for TV and film.
Right. For single use.
Single use, the HD lace and everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, made it to the consumer market. People fell in love with it. Now they're like, okay, I've been doing this for years. It's time to change it up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I've noticed is now the 2x6 closure is pretty popular.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've been selling the mess out of our HD 2x6 transparent HD or 2x6 closures. But they can't commit to such a small lace of a 4x4 or 5x5. So private label recently launched the 6x6 and 7x7 HD closure.
Yeah, not quite a frontal, but not
It
skinny.
is like the 7x7 is when I'm talking from like temple to temple, but back. You want a deep part? Oh my God, that part's, you know, that thing, you'll part that thing back to 2016.
2016.
I mean, that thing is like all the way. So we launched those. Those have been going well so far.
Mm-hmm. The 7x7.
6x6, 7x7.
7x7.
And the reason being is it's not the full frontal commitment.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than, say, a 13x6 frontal to get that deep part,
Mm-hmm.
but you still get tons of lace coverage. It's super natural looking.
Yeah, and it's
really
not
hot.
as it doesn't take much to upkeep those as well, because with the frontals, when they go ear to ear, you have to make sure that it's like glued down on the side. If you want to push your hair back, there's just a ton that comes with utilizing a full frontal. It's more maintenance.
I think it's a lot of the manipulation that needs to happen kind of right by your ear.
Yeah.
Kind of the
creating
temple,
that line.
Yeah, the temple to ear area is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And to keep that down and looking good. The front part is usually not the issue. It's starting to get down the sides. We start seeing the issues with that as far as especially maintenance goes. So not having to deal with that, that's definitely something hot in 2024.
Yeah. That's true. Most definitely. I think the other trend, well, we talked about quick weaves and sewings coming back, but then glueless wigs. So like maybe a while ago, people were utilizing wigs, but they weren't customizing them as much as they started customizing them around that like 2016 kind of error mark. And then people started doing the wigs that you had to glue down. There was a lot of like, I've seen the wig process where you have to like braid the hair down, then you have to put the stocking cap on, and then there's an art to it. You got to get the ears out of the stocking cap. You got to use all of that glue around the front area to get the wig down, and then on top of that, you need to like sew the wig kind of in the back a little bit to make it stay down. And now people are starting to use, like you said, a lot more glueless wigs, like where you can just pop that bad boy on, take it off at night and have your little Cleo braids going on at night. And then in the morning, pop it right back on. So I think I feel like the girls are all about ease and convenience these days. And so a glueless wig is just that. Like you don't have to worry about the extra glue. You don't have to worry about it looking so wiggy, especially if it's customized the proper way.
Yeah, you know what's funny is, so private label, we just recently launched our glueless wigs collection, which is, these are freaking beautiful wigs.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking, it has the pre-cut lace, the professionally bleached knots. When I say professional, let me be honest with some of you guys.
Not in your mama's kitchen.
Yeah, some of you guys rushing the bleaching of the knots, you're not doing the good job. You come to private label, you'll see some bleached knots. Okay.
I know that's right.
Glueless band, it's got the clips, adjustable wig cap, it's got all the features, right?
Yeah.
But here's something interesting about that. So as I launch a new product, what my job at private label to do is say, okay, how do we get this to show up well in search? So I use a program that shows me search trends over the years, and it shows me approximate searches for certain keywords over the years. And when I tell you glueless wigs, they really started to trend up around 2019 and then getting into 2020. And it's just been a straight line up since. So it's not just us saying it and us getting into it, is I can see the trend with online search. And that's a great way as a business owner, you can figure out certain things in your industry that you can look up. You can actually look at, use a program called Google Trends as well and see what the search volume is and see how different keywords are trending. And that's a good way you can research your product or a potential product and know, hey, maybe I should start offering this because it's trending right now.
Yeah. I do wonder though, as we're transitioning into more people utilizing the 6x6s, 7x7s, what is going to be like that selling point to get them to actually get it? Because, you know, sometimes when people are stuck on their thing, they're going to stick with it. But for the women who want to utilize or who utilize either like the 2x6s because they want to do a sewing where they're not caring about their edges, or if they do a whole 6x13 frontal where it is more maintenance, kind of what is that selling point that people who maybe hair company owners or even stylists who are looking to sell their client on that product, what is like that key thing that people should look out for or should be able to use as a selling point?
I think it would be as pretty much almost as realistic look as a frontal.
Yeah.
Without the maintenance, without the cost.
Yeah.
And potentially a deeper part because 13x4 frontals sell probably maybe 5 or 6x 13x6 because of the cost. But people love the 13x6 frontal because of the deep part.
Yeah.
You can do a nice side part, a curved side part.
Yeah. And a lot of people do love that deep kind of side part look where you have all the volume in the top and it's,
So having that right away, you have a lot of benefits immediately without the cost. So right now we have inflation, we have all these extra costs in life, it seems like. So to get something similar with definitely having those same characteristics as a frontal, but without the cost is pretty good selling point.
Yeah, definitely. I think also with the weaves, with the quick weaves, the glueless wigs, the sew-ins, a lot more women are wanting to play in color. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes when you go to purchase the hair extensions, all hair extensions are not created equally, and sometimes color does not take well to certain extensions. So we're talking about 2024 trends. I know that I see a lot more women who are diving into like bright colors or like colorful colors. So whether it's like a red, but not like a burgundy red, more of like a bright, vibrant red, or like mixed with like a golden yellow or a blonde, or like I've seen blues and greens, and nothing that's like overly done, but like highlights of these colors. And so when you're figuring out if you're doing a sew-in or if you're going to do a quick weave or a glueless wig, you want to make sure that if you're thinking about color, that all styles aren't made for all types of color, if that makes sense. So if you're going for a sew-in look, but you decide you want blue, you have to remember that if your natural hair is not blue, then you're going to have to either color your hair or figure out something else with like pieces in there, especially with quick weaves too, if you're not doing like a full quick weave. Because the quick weaves, yes, you can leave some of your hair out, but you can also utilize the 2x6s, the frontals, the 6x6s, 7x7s to actually do a quick weave as well. It's just glue versus having it sewn in.
For sure.
And so realizing, depending on if you want to do color, what type of color, how is that color going to look, that will determine what type of style you do as well. Because this year, the girls are going crazy with the colors. And I love it. Like, it's great to see like different vibrant colors on different people, especially with shortcuts too.
Yeah, I mean, Nicki Minaj came out with her new album and had the Gag City wig. So we did an inspiration Gag City wig, did really well. We did some other of the inspiration wigs. And even the glueless collection we have at Private Label is some beautiful colors.
Definitely, yeah. There's right when you walk into the showroom, you see like all of these wigs that look very vibrant and beautiful.
Very affordable for professional color, bleach knots, pre-cut lace, all the characteristics. So that's good. It's funny because a hairstyle you're wearing has become popular, started really last year, but kind of flew into, or kind of not faded. What would the word be? It flowed into 2024.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And one thing that Zakiyrah has or needs for this type of hairstyle is bulk hair.
Right.
So bulk hair is something we started selling as well because of the increased demand. And how I find out is I just talk to the showroom. Hey guys, what are people asking for?
Right.
And you know, the funny thing about bulk hair is it's generally not going to cost you less per bundle, because to actually weft a bundle in a manufacturing facility is probably pennies at this point. Yeah. So it's very inexpensive, but it does save the stylist time of not having to cut the weft.
That is true.
It's a lot less messy, I feel like.
Yeah, because I've cut wefts of my hair to get what I needed also. And so even with the bulk hair, a lot of people will go on Amazon to get their bulk hair. The problem with that is that a lot of these girls are getting the bulk hair off of Amazon, and you can see on TikTok or even word of mouth, like I've heard people say the hair is terrible, or like in 2 weeks my hair is matted or tangled or whatever the case may be. So even though you're getting braids, you still have to be mindful what type of hair you're getting, especially if you're doing a boho style. And if you're like me, I keep my braids in for months. So I need for my hair to be great quality hair. So people are spending less money on their hair to put in their braids, when in reality, you need to be purchasing great quality hair just like you would if you were getting hair extensions.
Yeah, it makes no sense to go cheap on the hair. We talked about your style here, how much the hairstyle is.
Yeah.
$300-$400 to get this done minimum. Some people are paying up to $1,000 depending on the style.
Yeah.
And you're going to buy cheap hair on Amazon. Amazon, when I tell you, because I know the people and how this whole thing is done.
Yeah.
Amazon is like what's lower than Marshall's? Ross?
I think they might be neck and neck.
Well, it's like the Ross of hair. So it's the irregular hair, stuff they need to get rid of, which is fine. And you can make some of this work.
Right.
But when you're spending this much to get your hair done, and then you're risking that's going to last a week or two and start having problems, There's no way.
Absolutely no way. Yeah. And not saying all hair on Amazon is bad, but you're literally, you one, you get what you pay for, and two, you never know what you're going to get. So it's literally like go to a reputable company that has the hair extensions that you need and pay $20, $30 more to get the right hair that you need.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I was talking about colors and bundles and all this is, so in our showroom in Atlanta, the number one selling, we have some hair colors. Mm-hmm. The number one selling is jet black. Mm-hmm. So jet black has been really trending as far as, it's always been popular, but this year it's been exceptionally popular.
Yeah.
So I said, guys, people are spending all this money to dye their hair jet black. I was like, why don't you just tell me to bring over the jet black bundles and matching closures and frontals? They're like, can you? I'm like, heck yeah. So now we're about to launch it. Probably by the time this is out, I'm sure it's going to be launched.
That's amazing, because a lot of women will go and get the regular 1B bundles and they'll just dye it jet black. And it's like literally now you have to pay the hairstylist to do jet black on your hair that is already kind of black. It's just not all the way black. Right. So that's actually really great that jet black bundles, like people will literally come in and purchase jet black bundles.
Yeah. And the problem initially was when I was doing the closure, I said, do a sample. So there's a couple different ways from a manufacturing standpoint, especially at scale, to do color, right? And they did a closure and the jet black was seeping into the HD closure. And I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. I said, it's going to cost that, because that's the cheaper route, right? If you can get the cheaper route to work and it looks the same, then okay, it's fine.
Right.
I said, I need you guys to professionally color. So I have a stylist that will professionally color these for me. So I say professionally color the closures and frontals, because I need the jet black to be perfect. I do not need it leaking onto the lace and causing issues. So that's what we did. It looks fantastic. It is dark. We started making some glueless wigs with it, and actually people are freaking out over those.
Yeah.
So
it's like, I feel like a jet black piece is like timeless. Like, I don't think jet black is ever going to go out of style at all.
Yeah, you always should have a jet black wig in your arsenal of wigs.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And jet black bundles too. Like, people are, it's almost like if you don't know what to do, if all else fails, jet black is great.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with jet black.
Yeah, definitely. That'll be around for ages, years to come. I'm pretty sure that Gen Z and after Gen Z are going to be dibbling and dabbling in jet blacks as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because we were talking about, I don't know if you remember back in the day, probably like 2015, 16, 17, maybe going into 2018, we actually had a lot of colored bundles. So we had the high ombre.
I was literally just thinking about
ombre. You remember that?
I was going to go into the
bundles and all that. And now I'm like, and then we stopped carrying them because everyone was doing the wigs and it just kind of got out of trend.
Right.
And then now it's come back so heavy. I'm like, all right, guys, I guess we need to start having some of these different color options, some of the ombres, or just full honey blondes and other kind of color bundles.
Yep. Ombre is coming back. Yeah, and ombre with braids too. Like, they're doing ombre braid. They have the ombre braiding hair as well. So people are literally doing ombre wigs, ombre braids, ombre bundles. And I've seen some girls do the ponytails with like the ombre curly. So it's definitely coming back. I'm not sure what the age range are. I've kind of seen some of everything, like with the ombres and hair. But yeah.
I'll tell you what's changed this year too is, so last year, everyone was all about tape-ins. This year, they kind of cooled off on the tape-ins. But now what's hot is the seamless clip-ins.
Yeah. I saw those clip-ins, and they look very, very, it helps with the flatter foundation.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely a flatter foundation.
Easy to hide. So the seamless clip-ins have been great.
I love clip-ins because they're very they're versatile, one, but two, they're also, it doesn't make your head feel so heavy. Like, they're lighter. Like, you can literally pull them up in a ponytail. You can slide your hair behind your back. You could do half up, half down, and it just falls into your own natural hair. So it's not like you have all of this stuff sitting on top of your head.
And it's nice you can take them out in 30 seconds.
Yeah, you can. If you're like me, though, and I don't like doing my hair or do my hair, I have to go get it done. I keep my clip-ins in for a week, like maybe 2 weeks max, because you shouldn't keep that clip-in on your scalp too long. So 2 weeks max, I'll keep my clip-ins in and then remove them. But like you said, it does take like 30 seconds to get them out of your head.
Yeah, the clip-ins have been good. And actually, ponytails, people have been getting into just easy ponytails. We created a new style ponytail. I don't know if did I show you the one?
Yeah, the wrap. Yep, I saw it in the showroom.
Okay, so like creating a new ponytail. And really what I think all of what we talked about in what is really trending is stuff that is easier to do.
Yep.
And generally a little bit more budget friendly.
Yeah. And that's what we talked about at the beginning. Like 2024, I feel like women are transitioning more into ease and easy and just flow. Like nothing too complicated, too hard. Like people love changing their hair up so many different times. It's like, what can I do that I can put on, take off? What can I do that will last me a week or so and I can change it up, and budget friendly, like you said, is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to definitely continue into 2025. And, you know, what we're trying to do as far as innovating with products is make it easier for either our hairstylist client or if a consumer buys from us, and making those processes for them easier by having something done ahead of time. Because it's a lot more cost effective and efficient for me to bleach the knots on something than for a hairstylist to charge $50 to $75 to do it. Someone trying to do it at home and mess it up and then try to blame whatever hair company because they over-process it, or they try to use a 40 volume and do it in 20 minutes. No, that does not work. I mean, it'll work, but it's not the way to do it. Right. So having the extra time and making sure that we're trying to solve problems. And that's always what businesses do, is they try to solve problems for the end user. That's really helped us while this hair market is still slow, you know, is to continue to innovate with products.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I had this thought like a while ago, and you know how Tesla had I don't know if they're still working on the flying car, or
I don't know if they're working on a flying car.
Yeah, you don't remember that? Yeah, it was like a flying car, and then I know that Apple was like doing a car, and then they stopped working on that. And then they had like things going to outer space. Anyway, my point is technology is evolving so much. I was sitting here thinking, like, are they ever going to come out with like a hair piece that is like self-installable, like something that literally is maybe like a button and it'll like tighten, or like if it's something that is just kind of out of the norm world, like moving into like 2030. Like I can see that happening by 2030.
Kind of like the Nike shoe that you'd hit a button and it kind of self, you know those? The mag, they're like $10,000. They're super rare, but you put them on, it kind of self does the shoes, but laces by itself kind of thing. It kind of self puts on or something like that.
Interesting.
They have something like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess, or eventually probably like you'll have robots literally being able to do hair.
Oh, yeah. That is another thing. And then that's a whole nother conversation with hairstylists.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be robots for everything eventually. I mean,
yeah, they already have them. And
for something, well, did you see the one with the lashes? No. And it was actual machine, like robot machine of some sort, putting on the individual lashes on somebody.
No, and now that I'm thinking about it, because it's just like when AI came out and like people were going crazy about if it was going to replace their jobs. I feel like it's the same with like the hair industry. You can't get away from like that human interaction. Like I don't know that I would want a robot washing my hair and like me telling it that I want this style and it do it. Like I think I would prefer a human, like a human being.
Oh yeah, I mean you can't never replace human. I mean, we were talking about that in the episode with Sherelle about kind of that human interaction, about working in an actual salon where you have all the chairs.
Right, yeah.
And that doesn't, like, you can't compare that to, say, a booth.
Right.
You know, or like, you know, a salon suite.
Suite, yeah.
You know, that it's hard with the human interaction. That's why a lot of companies don't want everyone working from home, especially creative companies, because it's a lot being said when everyone's together, working together in a team together, relative to like, hey, let's hop on this 15-minute Zoom call.
Right.
It is not the same. You know, so it's the same kind of interaction. People want that experience.
Yeah. And I did see, I don't know if it was in Dubai or somewhere else, but they have the flying delivery, like food deliveries.
Zakiyrah's just trying to get everything flying over here.
No, you didn't see that?
No. Well, they've been testing drones and everything for a while now.
Yeah.
Like Amazon even tests drones.
Okay, yeah. I just think it's so interesting because by the time 2030 rolls around, like, where are we going to be? What are we going to be doing?
Wild in 2030.
Yeah, and even thinking about the hair industry, like, we're already evolving into glueless wigs, drawstring ponytails. They've been around for a while, but not the new version where it's like has
like
the
wrap
around. Yeah. So like those type of products, and then even the hair actual products like the sprays and all of that stuff. Like a lot of things are evolving, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, once we get to like that 2030, what is going to be new? Like, what is after a glueless wig? Like, what?
I'll tell you, it's expensive. The raw material cost of human hair is expensive. And of course, you have synthetic hair that does not quite mimic human hair.
Right.
Will be a way to come up with a way to develop a true human hair clone that you can use for wigs.
Oh, yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, I like the way you think, Mikey. That's probably exactly what they're going to be doing.
That'd be major.
Yeah, that's just like the chicken that they started doing, like the robotic chicken or something. It's not robotic chicken. I made that up. It's they're starting to make chicken in factories.
Okay.
Versus like raised chicken.
Yeah. So I mean, they're doing a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. So it's almost like cloned.
Like a clone. Yeah.
Yeah. That is very interesting because it's like you're wearing human hair. You can do and manipulate it any kind of way that you would manipulate human hair. Only it's not.
It's the same as figuring out a way. So when you ventilate a lace, right? So we're talking about a 7x7 closure. A 7x7 closure is probably 40, 50 hours worth of work as far as the ventilation process, about 40 hours or so. Let's just say per closure.
Per closure, yeah.
Right? So imagine a more cost-efficient or faster or more perfected way to create that. Now, you've got to think of when someone is ventilating a closure, it is real taxing on the eyes, real precise. So I don't think we have something that's makes sense as far as machinery goes that can actually ventilate something. But eventually we will be there.
Absolutely. I think so too.
Like something else where it's feeding in the hair.
Yeah.
Because you got to think of like, okay, if you have the hair in all in one direction, right? Quote unquote, Remy hair. If the hair strands alter because the machine messes it up and the cuticles are not aligned, then that's what really causes tangling. So that could be an issue. So it would have to be a very delicate and very specific machine to do this, but that could be something that happens in the future.
I totally agree because right now people are doing that. Like it's saying one person 40 hours to do it.
Wild. And think about how many closures in a day. It's a lot of work.
That is crazy. So I definitely see a machine or something coming. Like even if you create it, that would be crazy.
I like how she said, even if you create it. Okay, let me work on the machine, guys. But I think that's some of the most, the bigger things that I see in 2024 that we see at private label and trending and talking to manufacturers and everybody else.
Yeah,
it's never going to be the same. It's always evolving, guys. So you have to be like a jellyfish in water, go with the flow, and evolve as the hair trends evolve.
Definitely. So thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all of our other episodes, and we'll be back with another one soon.
Later.